What's up, guys? It's time for me to make my 2022-2023 NFL playoff predictions. Let's get into it. We got the Seahawks taking on the 49ers. Folks, I expect the Niners to win this matchup. They have the better football team. They're at home. And Seattle has really been in a slump these last 6 weeks. I expect San Francisco to take care of business. Next up, we got a huge matchup, Chargers, Jags. Originally, I wanted to pick the Chargers because before the season started, I picked Buffalo, Kansas City, Cincinnati, and the Chargers to get to the divisional round of the playoffs. But I'm going with Jacksonville. This is going to be the biggest game in Jaguars history since 2009. They're finally playing on NBC, big primetime stage, and I think this team is ready for it. Trevor Lawrence got some of those jitters out of his system last week against the Titans. He didn't play very well. I expect him to play loose, to play free, to play with confidence. Doug Peterson has won a Super Bowl in his first year in Jacksonville. He found a way to get this team to the playoffs. And on the other side, I don't trust Brandon Staley, and Mike Williams is now out for the Chargers. This is a different football team without Mike Williams. I expect the Jags to win a close one in overtime at home. Next up, we got the Bills taking on the Dolphins. Folks, with Tua, without Tua, I expected Buffalo to win this matchup. But now with Tua out of the picture, Buffalo will absolutely have their way with Miami. The Bills are going to take care of business. Next up, we got the Vikings against the Giants. I think both of these teams are playoff frauds. They will lose in whichever team wins this matchup will lose in the divisional round. That being said, I have to pick someone. I believe Minnesota is a fraud because they've won 11 out of their 13 matchups by 8 points or less. They don't strike me as a team that can blow out another opponent. That's just not the vibe I get from them. On the other side, the Giants figured out that Brian Daboll is their guy. He probably will win Coach of the Year. They got a face of the franchise running back in Saquon Barkley. He's an absolute stud. But they don't have the QB position right. Daniel Jones is just a guy that I'm never going to believe in. I didn't believe in him before the draft. I'm not going to believe in him now. Minnesota has more talent on the offensive side of the ball. I don't trust their defense, but I got to pick somebody here, and I think Kirk Cousins on a 4:30 window will play much better than what he plays like on prime time, so I'm going with the Vikings. Final game on Sunday, we got the Bengals taking on the Ravens. If Lamar Jackson played in this matchup, this could have potentially been the game of the week, but he isn't playing. The Ravens have no shot with Anthony Brown or Tyler Huntley. Joe Burrow will take care of business on Sunday night. The Bengals have played like the best team in the AFC over the last 8 weeks. Give me Cincy. Finally, on Monday night, we have an absolute ratings bonanza. Tom Brady against the Dallas Cowboys. What more could the NFL want? Folks, Brady and the Bucs have been awful this season. I know they found a way to make the playoffs due to a weak NFC South, but this has not been the same Tampa Bay Bucs team we've seen over the last 2 years. 2 years ago, we saw this team win a Super Bowl. Last year, we saw this team go 13-4, have a shot at winning the Super Bowl, ultimately overcoming a 27-3 deficit and having a shot to potentially win that game. But this season has been filled with drama, confusion, and ultimately injuries. That being said, they're playing the Dallas Cowboys. This is a team that has disappointed the last 20 years. Every time they get to the playoffs, Cowboy fans are ready to go. They're excited, and they are willing to ignore all of their recent precedents. But they always fall flat on their faces. This is going to be an intense matchup. I expect Dallas to have the lead late, but Tom Brady will do what he does over the last 23 seasons and what he's done this season. There have been 3 moments this season. You beat Tom Brady and the Bucs are done. Week 9, I can't even remember which week it was. Playing Los Angeles. They're 3-5. They gotta win this thing. The offense hasn't been able to move the ball. Brady gets the ball late, drives them down the field. Tampa steals the game against the Saints. They're down 16-3. Tom Brady, can he do it? He does do it. They end up winning 17-16. And then 2 weeks ago, against the Carolina Panthers, with the NFC South on the line, Tom Brady delivers the goods, and I expect Tom Brady to deliver the goods on Monday night. Tampa wins a close, low-scoring game. Dak Prescott throws 2 interceptions. I haven't been impressed with Dak this season. He leads the league in INTs, and he missed 5 games. So Tampa's defense will keep them in this game, and I feel like they have to keep them in this game in order for Tampa to come out with the W. Now let's shift our attention over to the divisional round. We got Kansas City against Jacksonville. This is where it ends for Jacksonville. Good season. You got your head coach in Doug Peterson. Trevor Lawrence looks like a franchise QB. Next year you get Calvin Ridley. You can add some pieces, and you have a window because the AFC South is incredibly weak. The Texans no longer have the number 1 overall pick. Indy's looking for a QB. Tennessee could be in the market for a QB. Now is the time for Jacksonville to load up, but they can't win this game against Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes is just too good. He's going to win the league MVP this year. Now they have a week to prepare for this matchup and to potentially get ready for an AFC Championship game that may or may not be in their building. Give me the Chiefs. That leads us to what I think is going to be the best game of the NFL season. Bills against Bengals. Both of these teams met earlier this year. Unfortunately, the game was canceled due to Damar Hamlin. We all understand that. We want Damar to get well, to get better, and the NFL absolutely made the right decision. In terms of seeding, the outcome of that game really impacted the playoff picture, because if Buffalo ended up winning, they would have had the number 1 seed. If Cincinnati ended up winning, Buffalo would have had the 3 seed and would have had to go to Cincinnati. But due to the circumstances, which we all understand, Cincinnati now has to go to Buffalo. If this game was played in Cincy, I'd pick Cincy, because the defense has risen to the occasion every time they play Mahomes. Joe Burrow and Josh Allen are 2 of the best QBs in the game. The media loves Josh Allen. They typically view him as the 2nd best QB in the conference in the NFL. But Joe Burrow has proven more. He's beaten Mahomes 3 times. He went to a Super Bowl last year. It's close. It could go either way, but I'm picking Buffalo due to the emotional edge, due to them being at home, and given the fact that they were my preseason Super Bowl pick, so give me the Bills. On the NFC side, we got the Eagles taking on the Bucs. I love me some Tom Brady, but this is where it ends. The Buccaneers are just not that great of a football team. They've won a lot of close games due to their defense keeping them in it. The defense isn't even great. They've just played weak opponents. And Tom has been able to do what Tom always does. But this team has had massive offensive line issues. They've had drama. There's speculation about Brady playing for another team, and I don't see him coming back to Tampa after this season. Philly has been questioned and doubted even as a number 1 seed due to their schedule. But you can't blame Philadelphia for who they play. They didn't make the schedule. This was the schedule that was given to them. And you can't deny the talent on this roster. Jalen Hurts has played like an MVP. They can run the football better than most of the teams in the NFL. They have a great defense. Now, my biggest concern about Philadelphia going into the playoffs is their health. but they have the bye week to get things right, and I expect them to beat whoever they play in the divisional round of the playoffs. Next up, we got the 49ers taking on the Vikings. I expect the Niners to absolutely have their way with Minnesota. They are a physical football team. We've seen it time and time again. 3 years ago, against the Packers in the NFC Championship game, they had their way with Aaron Rodgers. I expect them to humiliate Minnesota in this game. This is the deepest team Kyle Shanahan's had, and they will advance to the NFC title game against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are at home. They're excited, ready to go. Two of the best teams in the conference, and the Eagles are going to come out with a loss. The Niners are the deepest team in the NFL. The only question this team has, which is a question they've had over the last couple of seasons, is an unproven QB. But I'll tell you what Brock Purdy has proven. He's proven the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo is replaceable. I've never understood the Jimmy G hype. Oh my gosh, Kyle Shanahan can't win a game without Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, he can't win a game because his QBs are Brian Hoyer, CJ Beathard, and Nick Mullins. Jimmy G is better than those guys, but he isn't this great QB. Stop with the nonsense. This team has all the ingredients, they've had all the ingredients, and they've come up short because of Jimmy G. If they fall flat on their faces in the playoffs, it will be because of Brock Purdy. But Brock Purdy has played his tail off. This team has won 6 games with him under center. Since they made the move for Christian McCaffrey, they've only lost 1 game, and that was the first game they played. They easily have the best defense in the NFL. I'm going with the Niners in this matchup. I think San Francisco gets back to the Super Bowl, which leaves us with an iconic Bills versus Chiefs matchup. Both of these teams met last year in January. It was one of the greatest, if not the greatest playoff game that I've ever seen. I picked both of these teams at the start of the season to make the championship game, and I'm rocking with my preseason pick. I picked the Bills to not only win the Super Bowl, not only win the AFC, but to win the Super Bowl, and I expect them to exact revenge on the Kansas City Chiefs. And not that they wish this, but the emotional factor of Damar Hamlin's injury will be the difference. I think this is the spark that they needed. This is the additional motivation that this team was looking for. I know that hits deep, and it's definitely up in the air. I mean, this is one of the deeper NFL seasons we've had, but I truly believe the Bills are the best team, top to bottom. It's a close race, but Buffalo has the ingredients to do so. And against San Francisco, I think they have the defense to overwhelm Brock Purdy on the biggest stage. I hate to say it because the Bills are a divisional rival, and I don't want them to win, but they will get the job done. And I ultimately have to stick with my preseason pick. I am a big guy on take integrity. I typically don't flip unless there's no other way around it, and the Bills will win the Super Bowl this season. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you like this video, and a lot of this is subject to change. The Chargers could easily pull off the upset tonight. Tom Brady could go home in the first round. We don't know what's going to happen, but I'm excited for it. Please subscribe. Thank you guys.